Good evening, and welcome to a meeting of the Chesapeake School Board. A printed agenda is available in the back of the room if you wish to follow the business items we'll be discussing this evening. Roll call, Dr. Smith.
Mr. Elijah Colon. Here. Miss Malia Huddle. Here. Mr. Mike Lamonia. Here. Mr. John McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Norman Poole.
Here.
Dr. Amanda Quillen. Here. Mrs. Amanda Walker.
Here.
Mrs. Kim Scott, Vice Chair.
Here.
Mrs. Angie Swigert, Chair.
Here. The next item is the adoption of the agenda. Does the superintendent or any board member wish to add or delete an item from the agenda?
Madam Chair, no items to add to the agenda, but we will need a closed session required for personnel matters, student matters, real estate matters, legal matters, and contractual matters.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Huddle. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We will now go into the closed portion of our meeting. I'll ask Vice Chair Scott to read the language to take us into closed session.
Yes, Chair Swigert, I move that the school board convene in closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711, A1, A2, A3, A8, and A29 of the Code of Virginia for the following purposes: to discuss and consider personnel matters, including administrative appointments, to discuss student disciplinary matters, to discuss the disposition of publicly held real property, to consult with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters, and to discuss contractual matters related to superintendent search services.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Before we move into closed session and in accordance with Bylaw 2-33, we will need a motion to approve the remote participation of Sands Anderson attorney Nikki Chook, who will join us for the discussion in closed session. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Huddle. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We are now in closed session. Vice Chair Scott, would you please read the statement to bring us back into open session?
Yes, Chair Swigert, I move that the record shows that the only items discussed in the closed meeting were those specifically cited in the motion to convene into the closed meeting and those lawfully exempted from statutory meeting requirements.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have any items resulting from closed session?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I do have an administrative appointment that will require board approval. Mrs. Michelle L. Smith from Assistant Director of Pupil Transportation, Department of Transportation, to Director of Transportation, Department of Transportation, effective December 15th, 2025.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. McCormick. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Colon. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Does any board member have an item resulting from closed session? Mr. McCormick?
Madam Chair, I move that the school board retains the Virginia School Board Association to assist with the superintendent search process.
Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Ms. Scott, I heard first. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Next, I will entertain a motion regarding the appeal under School Board Policy 9-21. Mr. Poole?
Madam Chair, in regards to the appeal of the superintendent's decision pursuant to School Board Policy 9-21 and in reference to Student 1, I move to support the recommendation of the superintendent.
Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Scott. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
There being no additional items resulting from closed session, we will now move on to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. For tonight's invocation, we will observe a moment of silence. Afterwards, I'll ask Dan Patel, a 5th grade student from Chittum Elementary, to lead us in the pledge. Please stand as you are able.
pledge allegiance to the flag of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation and under God, invincible and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Diane, and to your principal, Ms. Outlaw, for being here tonight. We thank you, and your family. Thank you all for joining us. Next, under awards and recognitions, we have a special musical presentation this evening. Dr. Smith?
Thank you, Chair Swigert. Yes, we have quite the treat tonight. I would like to welcome the Treacle Elementary School Chorus under the direction of Megan Price. They're here for a special holiday music presentation. Let's give them a warm welcome. I'd like to invite the Treacle Elementary School Chorus to meet the members of the board.
On behalf of the whole board, I just want to say an additional thank you so much to the Treacle Elementary School Chorus and to Director Price. That was just a wonderful way to start the evening, and let's give them one more round of applause, guys. Next on our agenda this evening is to honor the service of Board Member Daniel Stahler, whose term is coming to an end. I've asked Dr. Cotton to assist with the presentation of the resolution. Over to you, Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Chair Swigert. I just want to brag on my Treacle Hornets. I used to be the principal there, and it was a long time ago, Mrs. Scott, so don't say anything. But thank you, Mrs. Swigert. This evening, I am privileged to assist in recognizing the dedicated service of one of our esteemed former board members. I present for the board's consideration a resolution honoring the service of Mr. Daniel Stahler. Mr. Stahler is with us tonight, and I would like to invite him to the podium for this special presentation. The resolution reads, "Be it known to all persons that we, the members of the Chesapeake School Board, here assembled on this 15th day of December 2025, do hereby pay tribute to the outstanding and dedicated service rendered by Mr. Daniel Stahler as a member of this city's Board of Education. Whereas Mr. Daniel A. Stahler was appointed to the Chesapeake School Board in June 2025 and served faithfully through December 2025, demonstrating a strong commitment to students, families, and the Chesapeake community. And whereas Mr. Stahler brought to the board over 25 years of experience in public safety, including service as a sergeant deputy sheriff and DCJS general and weapons instructor with the Chesapeake Sheriff's Department, where he supervised teams, managed emergencies, and delivered instructional training focused on safety and decision-making. And whereas his public service also includes distinguished military duty in aviation electronics with the United States Navy's A-6 Intruder Squadron VA-85 aboard the USS America, participating in multinational operations and maintaining compliance with military safety and technical standards. And whereas Mr. Stahler's professional experience further encompasses work as a United States District Court security officer and account manager in the private sector, and most recently as a safety and security specialist with Placer American Corporation, where he strengthens emergency response planning and intra-agency coordination. And whereas during his school board tenure, Mr. Stahler applied his expertise in crisis management, stakeholder engagement, and leadership to advocate for school safety, mental health support, parental rights, and learning standards that prepare students for long-term success. And whereas he faithfully attended school functions to show in person his support of their efforts. Now therefore be it resolved that we honor and commend Mr. Daniel Stahler for his exceptional contributions to public service, education, and community leadership, and express our deepest gratitude for his unwavering commitment to improving the lives of those he serves. Be it further resolved that this resolution be made part of the minutes of this date as a permanent record of the esteem accorded by the board to Mr. Daniel Stahler. The resolution is attested by each member of the school board, the superintendent, and clerk of the board. Madam Chair, at this time, I respectfully request adoption of this resolution.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? I hear seconds around, but I'm going to give it to Mr. Lamonia, who I think I heard first. Is there any discussion? Ms. Scott?
Mr. Stahler, you describe yourself as a passionate parent, but I think you're so much more than that. I think you embody what servant leadership is. You serve our district in many capacities. You volunteer at basically every level, and I'm so grateful for you. I really appreciate you standing in the gap the last 6 months and taking that step for our district. You passionately serve our children, our parents, and our staff, and I'm proud to know you and call you my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had fully intended to say some things, but I don't know that I can do it much better or more eloquently
good.
than Ms. Scott
She's
sure
good.
did. And I will just echo that, probably more than almost anybody I've seen, you certainly jumped in and hit the ground running with enthusiasm and passion, and it was appreciated all the way around. So I echo the appreciation for your service, and I think it was exceptional while you were with us. So thank you for that.
Thank you all very much, and thank you, school board, for entrusting me to be on this school board. It is an honor and a privilege to serve on here, to serve our community, our students, our parents, our teachers, and to fight for parental rights and fight for what's right for our kids. I I just want to say it was an honor and a privilege. So thank you so much to the school administration for welcoming me. I've really felt like a family in here, and it really felt nice. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Thank you, my Angelas. And thank you all very much for taking the time to show me the ropes and show me so quickly on how to hit the floor running, because it doesn't take one person, it takes a village. And you all really welcomed me in and really helped it, made an advantage for me to hit that floor running. And I want to thank you so much. I know you all have a very big vote tonight for school board policy. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on that as well. Okay. I just want to say thank you all very much. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I love my community. I love the parents. I love the students, and I love the teachers and the staff. Thank you all very much.
Let's And we do need to go ahead and make it official. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
So I can take this home?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Thank you. We will now move on to the public hearing for our superintendent's proposed capital improvement plan. Dr. Smith, are there any citizens who requested to speak under the public hearing for this section this evening?
No, Madam Chair, we have no citizens requesting to speak on the capital improvement plan.
We will now move on to the hearing of citizens. Dr. Smith, are there any citizens who requested time to speak under this section this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 26 citizens signed up to speak.
Okay. Thank you. During their allotted time, speakers should observe our rules of decorum and know that expressions of concerns and criticisms on matters of school policy and operations is welcome. However, speakers must deliver their own remarks and may not play pre-recorded messages. I want to thank those speakers who signed up to address the board this evening. As a reminder, there are two ways that citizens can request time to speak. You can call the clerk's office before 12 noon the day of the meeting, or sign up to speak prior to the start of the meeting. All in-person requests must be submitted to the deputy clerk at least 5 minutes prior to the published meeting start time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your allotted time is over, we ask that you promptly exit the podium, and we ask that you refrain from any behavior that disrupts the meeting, including the use of profanity, applause, cheering, or jeering. Dr. Smith, please call the first speaker.
Yes, I'd like to call speaker number 1 to the podium. We ask that you state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Vic Nichols, Chesapeake. I support the changes because the pronouns worldview says violence against innocents is perfectly acceptable as long as it moves the agenda forward or harms their opponents. In Massachusetts, there's been 0 female state champions in the gymnastic vault since 2017, since boys stole them. Cis is a slur because a group of people decided they could just upend language for everyone around them to make them feel better about themselves. It's not about kindness or compassion. It's about institutional power. Taboo language reinforces a moral hierarchy. Slurs are sacrilege because they threaten the ideological scaffolding defining legitimacy for the modern ruling class. An ex-Antifa member said they don't kill you because you're a fascist. They call you a fascist so they can kill you. That's not disagreement, debate, or democracy. It's weaponized hatred. When your identity is rooted in committing and defending violence against others, it's no surprise that every other boundary, including pronouns, eventually collapses. If the loudest megaphones in your group demands children's physical mutilation while stripping parents of any right to know, why would threats of violence against someone who objects or their death cause even a flicker of concern? That's not accidental hypocrisy. Marxists believe the only bullet wasted is the bullet not fired at the enemy. Half of America sees the other half as the enemy, not opponents, enemies. Peoples whose lives are expendable if it advances the revolution. You can't build a just society on a foundation of blood. You can't preach compassion with clenched fists. You can't preach democracy by destroying its inhabitants. You can't claim to fight for moral dignity while normalizing brutality against human beings for the wrong pronouns. You can't claim the moral high ground when murdering children in school, church, or the womb is a right you're due. History has delivered a simple verdict. Any group willing to harm, silence, or kill those who disagree with them is not fighting for justice. It's all about power. When a group loses the ability to see humanity, it becomes something darker, dangerous, and requires defeat, not with fists, threats, or hatred, but overwhelming moral clarity, steadfast courage, and the absolute fearless refusal to bow. Because the moment good people stay silent, evil stops whispering and starts screaming. Well, America has heard the screaming for our brutal deaths long enough. Satan thought he won too, until the third day. Refused to bow.
Speaker number 2 appears to be a no-show. Speaker number 3 appears to be a no-show as well, so I'd like to invite speaker number 4 to the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Absolutely. My name is Dr. Mark A. Willett, and I'm here as a parent and private citizen. Thank you for the time to share why, like so many Chesapeake parents, I'm firmly committed to the principle that parents' rights matter in terms of important life decisions about our children. To begin, please note, my record is 16 hours of silence. The record was set on a multiply delayed long-haul flight. The person next to me, seeing my article in pen, asked if I was a teacher. I made a cheesy comment. I told him, actually, it's one of mine that needs revising. So he made a comment about students and asked if I was one. And I said, no, I'm actually a prof on my way to a conference. I may live in Chesapeake, I may be just a dad, but it just happens I'm a world-renowned scholar of gender, sex, and sexuality. So I told him the truth. Gender, sex, and sexuality. That's what I profess. What would you like to know? The silence that followed highlights the usually unwarranted fear that surrounds 3 related but separate categories, gender, sex, and sexuality, and offers a reminder that masculine fragility is one of the most important projects in American history. Until recently, I generally avoid telling people my actually research and teaching specialty because it might make some uncomfortable, but I realized it's not my job to make others comfortable. It's my happy privilege to share the knowledge so you can do the work to become comfortable yourself. Likewise, it's not any gay, queer, trans, or even questioning child's job to make anyone comfortable, nor is it their parents. The children and their parents are probably already very comfortable with who they are. Although I'm new to U.S. America, I'm assimilating well enough to know that parents' rights and freedom of choice allegedly matter a lot here. But some now want to deny parents' rights, deny children their own name, their own identity, their own peace of mind. Is it gender that causes fear? Sometimes that happens when people are afraid they don't measure up to the ideal of femininity or masculinity. Sorry, not sorry. Maybe it's the fear of learning about the spectrum of actual sex differences. Gender and sex can be multiple and changing, even within a life course. Getting old is inevitable. Growing up is a choice. Or is it the sexuality that causes fear? That usually occurs for one or both knowledge of one's own desires and the realization that desire is incredibly specific. In fact, the latter carries with it the fear of telling a partner the actual desire. Try conversation, maybe asking. In a nation so devoted to the cult of individuality, why be so quick to deny certain individuals their identity when it's clear gender fluid and trans children and their parents are very certain about who they are? When I directed studies of bisexual women's dating, for example, the women were very certain, but their friends, coworkers, and family believed everything was just a phase, and were stunned to learn that bisexual women's dating involves mundane things like dinner, movies. If there's any instability, then it's in the eye of the beholder. In U.S. America, we allegedly get to make our own choices.
Speaker number 5 appears to be a no-show, so I'd like to invite speaker number 6 to the podium.
Hi, my name is Augusta Renee. I'm a business owner in the Hampton Roads area, but more importantly, I'm a parent. And I'd say good evening to you tonight, but I'm actually furious that I even have to come out here and stand before you and address this. I cannot believe that we're even devoting time and energy to stripping our teachers of the simple courtesy of using students' and colleagues' preferred names and pronouns. And this isn't actually about names and pronouns or neutrality like speaker number 1 said. It is about dignity and respect and basic human decency. It's about looking children in the eyes and saying, I see you and you matter. In 2025, the fact that we're even having this conversation is absurd, it's baffling, and it feels cruel. Why are we not creating an inclusive environment where every child feels valued for who they are? School should be a sanctuary where you tell children you belong, but instead, for some mind-boggling reason, we're standing here trying to tell children that you do not. That is institutional gatekeeping. And this board represents a very narrow perspective. It's a predominantly white-passing group of people making decisions for a student population that's over 57% diverse and marginalized. 2 board members of color may be a voice under the age of 40 up here. The lack of representation is glaring, and it speaks volumes about the disconnect between your decisions and the community that you're supposed to serve. It's just a handful of people who look and think alike. This looks like a push to erode the separation of church and state. I can't be sure, but it does look like an agenda to impose backwards beliefs on a student body that deserves better, one that longs for understanding and acceptance. And to those advocating for this, what is wrong with you? Is this the legacy that you want to leave behind? Is this the hill that you want to die on? The Chesapeake community elected you to tackle real problems, raise test scores, expand mental health services, and improve school safety, not to mirror the ugliest chapters in history when denying people their names and identities was used as a tool of oppression by people that looked like you. Focusing on policing language and pronouns when public record shows that your district is drowning in mental health crisis. Anxiety and depression rates are soaring, it's tone deaf, it's irresponsible, and it's insulting to every student that's struggling right now. Trying to ostracize kids and perpetuate pain and division is crazy to me. Now, I'm running out of time. I timed this down to the second, so let me leave you with this. Please look past the politics and see the children. Choose compassion over cruelty and redirect your focus to empowering every teacher and child in this district, regardless of how they identify. Thank you.
Speaker number 7, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Corrado. I am a resident of Chesapeake. I am a Navy veteran, and for the past 2 years, I've served our community as a foster parent, primarily to teenagers. More than one of them has attended Chesapeake Public Schools. I have a vested interest in these policies that shape their education and well-being because of that. And tonight, I am asking you to revise Policy 802. So by the time many of these teenagers come into my home, they have already been through so much. Many of them have spent their lives in foster care, moving from place to place, carrying wounds that most adults would struggle to bear. My goal is to make my home a safe and peaceful place, a lighthouse of clarity. When they are confused, I provide a stable answer because I am the adult, and I am the parent first and foremost. That stability is essential for their healing and growth. From my own trauma and from walking alongside teenagers who have lived through really terrible trauma, I have learned this, that children need clarity. They need a rock, someone who will tell them the difference between dark and light, yes or no, right and wrong, and in this case, if they're a girl or boy. Policy 802 must reflect that no student should be compelled to affirm adults. Forcing children to use their teacher's preferred pronouns violates constitutional rights and reverses the natural order of authority. It places children in confusion, burdening them with the adult identity struggles instead of receiving guidance from those adults. It is a downright lie. In a world already marked by instability, we cannot add to the burden by compelling children to participate in it. Unstable children grow up to be unstable adults. I've seen this many times. If we allow uncertainty to take root in their formative years, we are shaping a generation that carries instability into their future families, their future children, workplaces, and communities. And for children who are already secure in their biological truth, these requirements strip away their confidence. They are told they must affirm adults who are uncertain of themselves. That is not fair, it's not right, and it undermines the clarity that they deserve. The clarity that trusted adults, such as teachers, should be providing. We have a moral responsibility to our children, this community, and our nation. If we fail to provide that foundation, we're not neutral, we're not more loving, more accepting. We are neglecting our duty to guide them towards that stability that they desperately need. Schools should be places of truth, not places that deepen uncertainty. Policy 802 to protect children from being I urge you to revise 802 to protect children from being forced to affirm adults. Our children deserve clarity, not confusion. Thank you.
Speaker number 8, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening, Chair Swigert and honorable board members. My name is Jeremy Rodden. I've been a resident of Chesapeake since 2010. I'm the parent of 2 current CPS students, 1 former student, also a former CPS substitute teacher. I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to the proposed changes to the professional conduct policies under 8-02. I'm not here tonight to talk about my family's personal story. Many of you are already familiar with my daughter's experiences in Chesapeake Public Schools. Instead, I want to focus on the policies and laws that already govern this district. According to Chesapeake Public Schools' own Title IX statement, the district prohibits discrimination, harassment, and retaliation against students and employees based on sex, sexual orientation, gender, and gender identity. Gender identity is explicitly recognized as a protected class under federal law. Under the Commonwealth of Virginia's Human Rights Act of 2020, it is unlawful to discriminate based on characteristics including sexual orientation and gender identity in places of public accommodation, including educational institutions. Gender identity is clearly protected under state law. Finally, CPS Policy 9-23, the district's official policy on harassment and discrimination, prohibits discrimination or harassment by or against students or employees based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and other protected characteristics. Once again, gender identity is explicitly protected. Given these existing federal, state, and local protections, the proposed changes to Policy 8-02 are inconsistent with the laws and policies this district is already required to uphold. Policy is meant to govern professional conduct, should not protect students and staff from discrimination, not create space for it. Every student and every employee deserves a safe, inclusive environment where they are treated with dignity and respect. No policy should undermine that obligation or place certain groups at greater risk under the guise of professional discretion. For those reasons, I strongly urge the school board to vote against adopting these proposed policies tonight. Thank you for your time.
Speaker number 9, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. I'm Dennis Hanson, resident of Chesapeake, Virginia, and I too oppose the adopting of the proposals for the change of policy. Empower strategic plan. First thing up there is our learners. So I'm really more concerned about item number 19 more so than item 18. It's not respectful to the students. We say that we want to empower, inspire, and engage, I assume, the students. This policy would not empower the students. It denies the professionals in the classroom or in the school the opportunity to engage the students, because they'll say, the policy says I can't talk to you about that. Totally ridiculous. We've got counselors, we've got professional educators, they need to be able to engage the students. If it's a concern of parental rights, let's adopt it, amend it, so that if a parent says, I would like my child's request to be honored, then you know you have the support of the family. But let's not take it out of the family's hands. Thank you.
Speaker number 10, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. My name is Jordan Hodges. I'm a resident of the city of Chesapeake. I am also a parent and a Navy veteran. I'd like to thank the members of the board for allowing me to take the time to address you tonight concerning Policy 802, Professional Conduct. The proposed additions of lines 18 and 19 to Section A and line K in Section B are direct contradictions to Section A, lines 1, serving as positive role models. 5, treating all persons respectfully. 10, prohibiting discrimination or harassment. 12, protecting confidential information. And most importantly, 16, supporting a safe environment. By requiring staff and students to refrain from the use of preferred personal titles or pronouns not corresponding to their sex assigned at birth, you may be protecting the rights of one group, but you're simultaneously revoking the rights of another afforded to them by Section 2.2-3900 of the Virginia Human Rights Act. You create an environment that is not safe, invokes discrimination and harassment, is not respectful to a person or persons, creates potential to reveal confidential information, and does not in any way support a safe environment for either staff or students, therefore removing the ability for staff to be perceived as positive role models by the community. This language provides a pathway for potential violation of the rights of students and staff afforded to them by the Code of Virginia, giving way to litigation by those violated and taking away both time and financial resources from the school district, which could affect the academic efforts that are the school's direct mission. Tonight, I would urge the board to table this vote, reassess the proposed changes to this policy, and ensure that it is either consistent with or more comprehensive than the model policies developed by the Virginia Department of Education, allowing for, at a minimum, a collaborative effort with the parents of students in how they self-identify. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for continuing to support the rights of all staff, all students, and parents.
Speaker number 10 appears to be a no-show. Number 11 is a no-show. Speaker number 12, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin your remarks.
Hello, I'm Ari Julian. My pronouns are ze, them, and I'm a resident of Norfolk, Virginia. I was gonna read this about pronouns and stuff, but I just want to go ahead and let you know. I was 8 years old the first time I tried to commit suicide because I wanted to be a boy, and everyone saw me as a girl. It was not my family that I could go to and talk to about it. My family beat me for other reasons, not for my pronouns or who I decided to bring home and kiss. And I didn't trust them with that information. So, you know, it was rough. And it was a school counselor that caught me in the bathroom with a razor blade. Here's the scars right here. Here's my tattoo of surviving. Who caught me and was going to call my parents. I freaked. I tried to run from the school. I tried to punch her. I tried to bite her. I pulled my hair out. I told her if she called my dad, I might as well be as good as dead. Luckily, her and her boss decided to do weekly checks on me to make sure I wasn't cutting myself or doing drugs or anything like that. I was able to graduate because of that counselor. What this policy is doing is stopping children and colleagues being who they are. You know, I want to go around and just, Mrs. John McCormick, Mr. Angela Swidger. How does that feel when you know who you are and other people are telling you what you aren't? Thank you, that is all.
Speaker number 13, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Charlotte Worley, and my personal pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I oppose the policy changes before this board. I am a lifelong resident and a lover of Chesapeake. I also teach at the high school that brought us the newest back-to-back football state champions, the Oscar Smith Tigers. Many thanks to Coach Chris Scott and his coaching staff under the direction of Paul Joseph, principal, Ray Collins, athletic director, and those fabulous champion players. We are so very proud. My message tonight is very simple. By the grace of God and the Virginia electorate awareness, the voters have spoken loudly, clearly, and joyfully. Now it is okay to be nice. Now it is okay to say no to oppressive and immoral executive orders that hurt both education and our students, stealing their voices and stealing their time and their presence because they have to hide. Now it is okay to respect a person's personal choices, forcing them and to be treated and addressed regardless of partisan politics. Respect and decency can now be the hallmark of our school division. Maya Angelou remind us that we know better, we do better. So for me tonight, I ask the board to do better. Don't approve this heinous policy changes. As I close tonight, I'm reminded of all the poinsettias and the beautiful red and green and white, and thus I say to you, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and a Merry Christmas to us all. God bless us, everyone. Thank you.
Speaker number 14, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. I'm Mel Cornelise, and I use she and hers. And I live here in Chesapeake, and I'm a teacher. And I have two kids, an 8-year-old third grader in CPS, and 18-year-old proud graduate of Oscar Smith, who is now at UVA. Go Hoos. And both of them, when they were at CPS, they my college kid is back home now for Christmas break, so he helped me a little bit with this, and so did my 8-year-old. And they both reminded me that in school they used the SOAR program, SOAR, which is an acronym, and I'm going to use it tonight too. SOAR is a behavioral intervention and support framework to encourage positive behavior, academic success, and a strong school climate. So both my kids know about SOAR. This system is used to create a positive environment where kids feel safe and they feel motivated. So let's start with S, that's safety. In 2024, the Trevor Project published a study of over 61,000 transgender and non-binary youth, it's under 18, in the U.S. that found a causal relationship between anti-transgender policies, like the ones proposed here tonight, and a heightened suicide risk among this group from anywhere from about 7% to up to 72%, depending on which state we're talking about and which policies we're talking about. I think it's real important to consider the safety of our students and our employees in CPS by acknowledging who they say they are. O stands for ownership. When someone, be they a child, a student, or an adult, maybe even a fellow employee, gives you their name and their pronouns or their titles, like Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor, they are taking ownership of these names and they are telling you who they are. It's not your place to tell them otherwise. You may take ownership of your own name, your own pronouns, no one else's. A, I'm told by my kid, stands for attitude, and when I asked my 8-year-old about this, I said, what's your attitude be like at school? He said, well, you're just nice. You're just nice to people. You try to help them. You have a good attitude. Sounds right to me. And finally, R stands for respect, showing respect for self, others, and their property. Treat others the way that you would like to be treated. It's the old golden rule. It's an old one and a good one. And it really shouldn't have to be explained to a group of adults in leadership positions. My question is, my 8-year-old can do this. Why can't y'all?
Speaker number 15, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Anderson. I'm a guardian ad litem, a concerned citizen and resident of Chesapeake. I am here to speak against the proposed additions to 8-02. I emphatically disagree with these additions. On page 5 of this school board's legislative agenda, you state that safety and well-being of students and staff are of paramount importance to you. Also, that school safety is about creating an environment where every student is supported and that mental health is as important as physical safety so that our students can thrive. You want educators to foster safe and nurturing classrooms, and these values do not match those proposed additions. I'm an attorney. I think the proposed additions have vague language about violating constitutional rights of someone when you ask them to refer to you in a preferred manner. For ease of this, I would assume you're referring to the First Amendment's freedom of religion and freedom of speech. Placing this in a policy about pronouns and names is concerning. Individual liberties are not absolute. They stop when they infringe on another's rights. We live in a society where we use social norms to ensure that we can all coexist. A huge part of our social norms arise when we meet someone. They tell us their name, and we reciprocate. Then we proceed to use that name in our interactions. This is polite and fosters all social interactions. For example, every doctor I see asks what my preferred name is on their forms. I know of no one who has been told someone's name is Mike, Norm, Kim, Eli, Mal, Jack, or Mandy, and insisted on calling them Michael, Norman, Angela, Kimberly, Elijah, Malia, John, Amanda, or Amanda. Those would be the names that were not given when introduced to that individual. This is a form of the Golden Rule, which can be found in Matthew 7:12. Individuals are free to do as they please unless those actions harm others. Religious freedom does not permit you to discriminate against others. These proposed additions are written to allow a person to discriminate against someone else. I believe this is government-sanctioned discrimination. We all know what minority population you're targeting.
Speaker number 16, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert Perisic, and I'm a resident of the city of Chesapeake, here as a parent tonight. I'm here tonight to speak in support of the proposed revisions to School Board Policy 8-02, because it honors and respects the First Amendment. A plain reading of the proposed revisions says it forbids employees from being compelled to use pronouns that violate their constitutional rights. So we're forbidding employees from forcing speech code on other staff or students. And it also prevents confusing students with pronouns from staff that do not match their sex at birth. America is unique in many ways, but one of the biggest ways we are unique are the concepts of freedom of speech and religious expression. Our founding fathers placed a high emphasis on this concept when it wrote the Bill of Rights and made that the very First Amendment. If you look around the world today, there's plenty of places that have no right to freedom of speech. North Korea, Venezuela, China. There's places you cannot have any speech without the risk of being thrown in jail or worse. And yet, even those places, there's other places that claim to have freedom of speech. But right now, in places like England, they have social media laws that if you go online and you post something that is deemed offensive by the community, they're going to arrest you. There's also numerous incidents around the world, including one in Ireland that I'm thinking of, Mr. Enoch, who was fired from his school for not using a student's pronouns. But we don't have to look around the world. This is happening across America. In fact, a couple years ago in Virginia, a teacher named Peter Vlaming up in West Point which is King William County, was fired for not using a student's pronouns. Ultimately, a few years later, the Virginia Supreme Court held that his rights were violated, and the West Point School Board had to pay a large sum. This is a contentious issue. No one wants to see any kids who identify as transgender be bullied or harassed, but at the same time, staff and students should not be bullied into using pronouns that they are not comfortable with and that are simply unnatural. All this policy says is that no one should be compelled into saying things that violate their rights. I strongly urge the board to vote in favor of these revisions. Thank you.
Speaker number 17, it's your turn at the podium. And speaker number 18, if you're in the room, would you mind coming to the front row? We have some space in the front row, so you'll be ready to go.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amanda Lambert. I am a Chesapeake resident, mom, educator, and Navy veteran. And I wish I were here to talk about issues relevant to my child's education, like student-to-teacher ratios, building conditions, or how student behaviors are causing harm to educators. Instead, I'm here to talk about Policy 802, and I will do so from the angle of parental rights because, unfortunately, that seems to be the only phrase that carries any weight with some of you. As a parent, I have taught my child that faith and science coexist. For example, the narrative that there's only XX and XY chromosome configurations has been repeatedly proven to be false and denies God's creation and design, since that is how he created some of his children. Sex chromosome abnormalities such as Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, trisomy X, and Jacobs syndrome affect as many as 1 in 400 children and are only diagnosed through specialized testing. They are not visible, and they do not carry any distinct physical characteristics, meaning that you cannot determine their presence by photograph, appearance, or ultrasound. The science is not new, nor is it part of some crazy agenda, because I first learned about sex chromosome abnormalities in 10th grade biology in 1995. Not in some crazy place like California, but in Bible Belt, East Texas. Basing division-wide policy off anything that contradicts these facts is in violation of my parental rights. As a parent, it's a rule in my home that we treat one another with the dignity and respect we want for ourselves. We don't judge one another's walk through life, and we honor the things within each other that make them unique. This proposed policy spits in the face of the standards we uphold in my home by sending the message that different is bad. Your dignity is secondary to my beliefs, and respect is not a two-way street if I disagree with you. That's not the message my child needs to take away from school, yet it's the message this policy change sends. As a parent, I would love to see you not impose moral judgment on others and instead address the things that impact students on a daily basis, like hiring more paraprofessionals, alleviating high school overcrowding through rezoning, discussing teacher burnout, which is at record numbers, and better addressing deteriorating infrastructure. Those were the reasons you were elected, and please get back to that. In conclusion, you're at an impasse. Do you choose to focus on more important issues that impact my son's education, or do you tell parents like me that our rights don't matter and that your personal ideology is more important than what we teach at home? Thank you for your time.
Speaker number 18, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker 19, if you could come forward to the front row.
Good evening. My name is Amber Bomer. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a resident of Chesapeake, a parent to a current Chesapeake public school student, and president of Pride in the Peak. And last time I spoke, I asked you to remember your why. According to an article published in October 19, 2022 by 13 News Now, Sarah's Hammond, that why for several of you can be summed up as honoring parental rights as paramount, with retaining teachers as secondary. For example, Mr. Lamonia, you said that safety and security, accountability, parents' rights, mental health, resources, enhancing our vocational trade schools, and was extremely importantly, retaining and getting teachers into Chesapeake was your why. Mr. McCormick echoed these sentiments, saying it is vital to listen to teachers, parents, and students and help them develop solutions to problems they are facing. We're more than halfway through the speakers tonight, and the vast majority of them have said that they oppose. I've been keeping tally, and we're about 10 against and 3 for. In a November 6, 2024 13 News Now interview with Leah Britton, Ms. Weigert's priorities were listed as having a more engaging curricula free of negative social or political influence, which I couldn't agree with more. Maintaining safety in schools and working with families. In that same article, Mr. Colon is quoted as saying prioritizing parents' voices and ensuring that they have a seat at the table continuously. Not something we say, but what we do, and we adhere to it. Under the current model policy, Chesapeake Public Schools parents can submit a form to consent for their student to be acknowledged by a preferred name or pronoun. It is not an official change of name on a legal document until a legal change of name has occurred and been submitted. It is simply honoring the dignity, respect of a student and the rights of the student's parents to have a say in how their child should be addressed. When you say that the district cannot compel teachers to recognize preferred names or pronouns, what you are saying is that parents' rights don't really matter, or don't matter as much as the few teachers who may feel compelled to dead name or misgender a student. I've had the pleasure and honor to work beside teachers of all walks of life, religion, and political views. To a one, our personal views remain our own in the classroom. There is no such thing as conservative or liberal, Christian or not, etc. After all, as Ms. Walker and Nadine once said, removing political agendas from the classrooms allows us to focus on the high-quality education our students deserve. That's why I'm asking you to reject this motion and leave the model policy you thoughtfully passed as it is. Thank you.
Speaker number 19, it's your turn at the podium, and speaker 20, if you could come forward.
Good evening, Nicole Sperry, Suffolk, Virginia. I am here to speak out against the proposal to add the revisions to P802. My worry is how this is going to affect staff and students that fall under the umbrella of Chesapeake Public Schools. It speaks of constitutionally protected rights, but this could lead to the rights of the LGBTQ population being violated as well. I worry about how this policy will affect those who currently work here and who would potentially want to work here. We want to attract the best who will bring out the hidden potential in not only our students, but our staff. With these changes, we will lose those caring workers. Public education should not be based on politics or religion unless you teach those subjects. We should be putting time and resources into helping the schools pass the SOLs and to be able to graduate. We should be preparing them for a future where they will be able to peacefully work with and live amongst others who do not think and live as them. Staff and students are unique as snowflakes. We are not the same. Please vote no on this policy change. We should be empowering each other no matter their name, because in the end, their name is their choice and does not harm anyone else. Thank you.
Speaker number 20, it's your turn at the podium, and speaker number 21, if you could come forward.
Good evening. My name is Katrina Castle. I use an MX prefix that wasn't on the form. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a Chesapeake resident, I'm a parent, and I'm also a social studies educator, not your social studies educator. This is my identity. It's not a preference, it's not a choice. It's who I am. I have taught for over a decade in public schools, and I have never had one kid or one parent become inoperably confused by any of this information. Many have spoken tonight about choice. Our choices define us, not others. How we treat others defines us and not them. I choose respect and kindness, and I expect it in return. Not because of my leftist agenda that calls me to be some kind of pronoun police, but because my mama raised me right. with some good old-fashioned manners. And I'm here tonight because some people in this district seem to have forgotten their manners. They've abandoned the tenets of basic decorum in favor of delusional self-interest. The proposed policy change would seek to make victims out of bullies, because the reality is no one is victimized by anyone else's identity. To change the policy in this way violates one of the simplest shreds of human decency that exists, as others have pointed out this evening, treating others the way you would like to be treated. Now, I don't know who raised y'all, but where I come from, folks know how to treat people. You don't need to earn being treated with respect and dignity. You're a person. We can pull up our little bootstraps and treat other people with respect, regardless of who they are. We do not let the preferences of a few ignorant fools command who we are. My identity is no more up for debate than yours. Our policies should reflect our priorities. This should not be hard for the city that cares. If someone tells you their name, you use it. If you make a mistake when you're identifying somebody, you fix it. And if you hurt somebody's feelings, you say sorry. If it works in a preschool, it'll work for you. The policies are fine the way that they are, and you do a deep and divisive disservice to this entire school district by even entertaining the notion of changing them in this way. I know I was raised better. I expect y'all were too. Thank you.
Speaker number 21, it's your turn at the podium. Speaker number 22, if you'll come forward.
My name's Hannah Barber. I am a resident of the city of Chesapeake. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the vice president of Hampton Roads Pride. We're an organization that supports LGBTQ people and allies across all 7 cities through year-round advocacy, education, and community programs, and our mission is simple: inclusion, dignity, and equality for all. I urge you to vote no on the proposed changes to 8-02 because respecting names and pronouns is not politics. It's an evidence-based practice that improves student safety, supports educators, and reflects our community values. First, I want to talk a little bit about student and safety and belonging. The data are clear. Trans and non-binary students face disproportionately high risks of bullying, depression, and suicide. National research shows that when schools are gender affirming, when students are called by their names and pronouns, rates of suicide attempts drop significantly. Even one affirming environment, including school, is associated with markedly lower depression and suicidal thoughts. These are not symbolic gestures, they're actions that save lives. Second, I want to talk about workplace climate and educator effectiveness. Your agenda states set a goal of fostering a professional and productive work environment that supports employee well-being. Policies that restrict how educators refer to themselves or others, especially trans and non-binary staff, do the opposite. They signal that some identities are less legitimate, which undermines morale, increases conflict, and distracts from instruction. Research on school climate consistently shows that supportive, inclusive environments lead to stronger engagement, better retention, and better outcomes for students and staff alike. Third, I want to talk about how these policies affect everyone, not just trans and binary students and staff. Rules that police gender expression don't stop with trans people. They create a chilling effect for any student or staff member who doesn't conform to rigid expectations of masculinity or femininity. And that makes schools less safe for all students, especially those already vulnerable to harassment or exclusion. There's a better path forward. You don't have to choose between constitutional concerns and student well-being. The board can affirm names and pronouns as a standard, respectful, trauma-informed practice, strengthen anti-bullying and non-discrimination enforcement for all students, provide staff training and supportive communication, and partner with local organizations like Hampton Roads Pride and the LGBT Life Center to support educators and families. In closing, mutual respect does not require erasing anyone's beliefs. It asks us to care for every student and educator entrusted to our schools. The evidence is clear. Honoring affirmed names and pronouns improves safety, strengthens the workplace, and reflects our community's values. I urge you to reject these proposed restrictions and choose policies that keep all Chesapeake students and staff safe, respected, and ready to learn. Thank you.
Speaker number 22, it's your turn at the podium, and speaker number 23, if you'll come to the front.
My name is Sean Loescher, and I am a resident of Chesapeake. Since I've already emailed the board my thoughts about this subject, I will be brief. I am here tonight to express my opposition to the proposed changes to Policy 8-02. This would ensure that Chesapeake Public Schools are following established guidelines from professionals like the ones at the American Psychiatric Association and a previous speaker here tonight, and not the opinions of some members of the city. And I did say opinions. This is very reminiscent of another issue that wasted over a year of the school board's time when the board tried to limit the religious freedom of some Chesapeake residents. I hope the board has learned from those mistakes and instead chooses to focus on the real issues that need to be addressed by the board to ensure the high-quality education that the city has grown accustomed to. Thank you for your time.
Speaker number 23, it's your turn at the podium, and speaker number 24, if you'll please come to the front.
Hi, I'm Danielle Spindon-DeFiore. I reside in Hickory and Chesapeake, and I also practice dentistry in Great Bridge. I think we can all agree that the number one priority that we all have is maintaining the health and safety of our children. There is a mountain of evidence of good quality studies that show that non-binary and trans students are at a high risk of mental disorders, which include anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, and suicide attempts. One of the most important things that we can do to limit those risk factors is just acceptance of these children. One adult and their peers just listening and agreeing and identifying that they go by a different gender and pronoun use can help reduce this risk of suicide, self-harm, anxiety, depression. In refusing the preferred names and pronouns, this raises that risk of these vulnerable children. What all we're asking for is to provide a space for these children to grow, learn, explore who they are, and allow for their preferred names and pronouns. And anybody with any suicidal thoughts, I just urge you to call 988, and Trevor Project is another great resource for those children. Thanks.
Speaker number 24, it's your turn at the podium, and speaker number 25, if you'll please come forward.
I would say good evening to you, but it is not a good evening due to this policy 802 that you are proposing bringing me out to Chesapeake on this freezing cold evening while I could be at home curled up on the couch with a blanket and a nice cup of hot chocolate watching Netflix. My name is Gray Leiden and my pronouns are they, them. I am a board member of Hampton Roads Pride and the Virginia Queer Film Festival. I am here today to speak in opposition of Policy 802, which states that all employees are expected to, and I quote, refrain from providing to a student his or her preferred personal title or pronouns if such personal title or pronouns do not correspond to his or her sex, as well as the policies restricting educators' pronouns and name choices. Not only is this discrimination against the students and a violation of the First Amendment, which protects freedom of speech, but this will result in an increased negative mental health for transgender and gender nonconforming students who use a name or pronoun that differs from their sex. 3.3% of high school age students are transgender, and your school system serves over 9,000 students, which means an approximate 1,300 high school students are transgender within your school district. These numbers are just your high school students and aren't even considering the students who might be within your middle schools and elementary schools where, yes, transgender students exist. According to the Trevor Project's 2023 National Survey on the Mental Health of LGBTQ+ Youth, 41% of LGBTQ+ teens seriously considered attempting suicide. Transgender and non-binary youth who reported that the people they lived with respected their pronouns and reported lower rates of attempting suicide. Nearly 1 in 3 LGBTQ students said their mental health was poor due to anti-LGBTQ policies. Clearly, this shows that if you go forward with implementing this new policy, it will increase the rates of suicidal ideation and negatively impact more students' mental health. Is the goal of education not to develop successful adults who have a positive mental health? How would you like it if people referred to you by the wrong pronouns and called you, for example, Mr. Swigert, Mr. Scott, Ms. Collins, Mr. Huddle, Miss McCormick, Ms. Poole, or Miss Lamona? It doesn't feel good, does it? That's what
you'd be doing to your students and teachers if you adopt policy 802. If you care about parents' right, which you say you do, what about the parents who allow their children to use their preferred name and pronoun? This policy doesn't consider the parents' rights of those parents, making your so-called parents' rights stance contradictory and only protecting the rights of parents who don't support their LGBTQ children. I strongly hope you make the right decision and vote against.
Speaker number 25, it's your turn at the podium, and speaker number 26, if you'll come forward.
Hello, I'm Dr. O'Shea. I'm an avid volunteer for the Chesapeake School District. I'm the person that gets your kids through the breakfast line in the morning, and at night, every night, I'm the person that takes care of you in the hospital. So I'm going to use my time to speak from my professional and clinical standpoint. 5 years ago, I stood with all of my classmates and I took an oath, and I said, among other things, that I would address disparities, respect differences in all, and promote inclusion. By the time I'm finished speaking and number 26 comes up, if they do, a student that's affected by policies like the one you're proposing will try to kill themselves. During this meeting so far, I've been keeping a tally. We're at number 22. Transgender children in America attempt suicide at a rate of at least 1 every 5 minutes. And due to recent government censorship, I only have data for 13 through 17, which is a third of youth ages, of the youth population, I apologize. But the stats that I do have, with respect to pronouns, when that's taken into account, the 101,000 kids that will try to kill themselves this year by doing that 1 in 5 math, I've got all my math, I can email it to you guys later, that 101,000 drops to 70,000 if people respect their pronouns. So those 30,000 kids are a direct result of policies like the one you're putting forward or considering putting forward. Your website spotlighted a teacher that said, every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them. All of these people behind me are the champions of these students. All of these volunteers, these parents, and these staff. And how can the staff inspire, engage, and empower all learners to achieve their highest potential when they aren't even allowed to achieve their own? You are their bosses. You are telling them that you don't respect them, and you are telling them to pass that feeling along to their kids, along to the students. You're telling your staff that you don't respect them, and you are telling your staff to disrespect their kids. I have so much more than I have 3 minutes to talk about. If you guys are ever interested, I do teach a lecture on health disparities for the LGBTQ community. I teach it at various medical schools and pharmacy schools across the country. But I'll leave you with this. If I knew of a 100% effective cure for 30,000 of my patients and I didn't take it or pursue it at all, I would lose my license and I would lose all shred of morality. Point blank. The fact that you guys won't consider it in those terms is very disappointing.
Speaker number 26, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
I'm Jennifer Naparella, and I am a resident of Chesapeake. I'm a Chesapeake Public Schools employee, and I'm here tonight to pragmatically address the 3 proposed additions to the CPS policy manual. Number 18 indicates that one employee should refrain from referring to another employee in a manner that violates the employee's constitutionally protected rights, but does not specify which part of the Constitution the proposal refers to. Therefore, I have to ask if the proposal itself violates Constitutional Amendment Number 4, which protects citizens from government overreach by guaranteeing the right of the people to be secure in their persons. Number 19 indicates that employees should refrain from providing to a student their preferred pronouns. This proposal defies parent choice that almost always involves medical supervision. Overriding parent choice is a mistake, one that Chesapeake Public Schools pays for every time the United States Department of Education Office for Civil Rights finds us guilty of retaliatory actions towards students with medical exemptions. What is number 19 if it is not retaliatory? Letter K indicates that students can't be compelled to refer to an employee in a manner that violates the student's, again, unspecified constitutionally protected rights. Deeply problematic is the fact that employee rights are entirely overlooked in Letter K. The board should recognize the inevitable consequential charges of the abusive work environment that the proposal will engender if it is passed, and the victims, according to Virginia Code, will have a right to sue civilly the person or persons guilty thereof. What is K if it is not creating a hostile and abusive environment to your employees? In my novice observation, each of these proposals tonight is inviting lawsuits that Chesapeake Public Schools will lose. For Chesapeake Public Schools to retain the hallmarks of a law-abiding public school system, the board must not adopt any of the 3 opposed additions to the policy manual this evening. Thank you for your time.
This concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you for sharing your comments. Our practice is to receive information. However, we do not usually engage in dialogue, and that is our intent tonight. If appropriate and not already provided, someone from the superintendent's office will evaluate your concern and provide a response. At this time, we will consider the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We will now move over to our information agenda, the first item being the monthly financial report. Ms. Glod.
Thank you, Chair Swigert. We have included financial projections for July, August, September, and October 2025 in the board documents for tonight's meeting. Revenue and projected expenditures are within the expected ranges for the month, or for the time period. Total realized revenue for the fiscal year through October is about $214 million, including approximately $112 million from the state, about $100 million from the city, and the remaining funds from other local sources and the federal government. Turning to expenditures, total projected expenditures are $162 million through October. After including encumbrances, which are future financial obligations incurred throughout the year, the total projection is $322 million. Projected expenditures reflect the 4% compensation adjustment provided to all contracted employees and a $6.4 million transition supplement equivalent to 1 week's pay to support employees as they transition to this year's new biweekly in arrears pay schedule. Fall enrollment was 39,497, or 403 fewer than planned for the fiscal year. Enrollment is the primary driver of state revenue, and the decline is estimated to reduce revenue by about $3.2 million if it remains at current levels. Final state revenue is calculated based on the final spring enrollment, but we will continue to monitor enrollment closely and will adjust spending as necessary. Last, I want to share that this evening's financial report is a little different from past reports. This is due to an outstanding UKG project requirement, a personnel expenditure file upload from UKG to our financial system PeopleSoft. Without the upload, comprehensive monthly financial reports cannot be produced. While we await the completion of this requirement, CPS's finances remain actively managed and monitored with financial controls and the review of non-personnel related expenditures in PeopleSoft and personnel-related expenditures in UKG. This requirement has been escalated and is a top priority for UKG and our project management team. Once the upload is complete, we will issue the comprehensive financial reports for July through October. This completes my finance report for the evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
I don't see any questions from the board. So we will move on to our 2024-2025 audited financial report. Back to you, Ms. Glide.
Thank you. This evening, Mrs. Laura Harden, Audit Director with Cherry Beckert Advisory, LLC, will present the 2024-2025 audited financial statements and executive summary. I'll hand it over to Mrs. Harden at this time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here this evening to present the results of the audit of Chesapeake Public Schools for fiscal year June 30, 2025. My name is Laura Harden. I am the engagement director who oversaw the audit of the school board and take ultimate responsibility for our audit opinion. So we did audit the school board and we issued our audit report on December 2nd, 2025. We issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is the best opinion you can receive as a result of your audit and is called a clean opinion. We also perform audits under both government auditing standards as well as the Auditor of Public Accounts specifications for audits of counties, cities, and towns. We identified no instances of non-compliance required to be reported under those standards or specifications. We also gain an understanding of the internal control environment of the school board that helps us to plan and perform our audit, but we do not issue an opinion on the internal controls. If we did identify any control deficiencies, I'd be required to report those to you. We did not identify anything that we consider to be a material weakness in internal control over financial reporting. We also did not identify any misstatements that were either corrected or left uncorrected by management. Note 1 of the financial statements describes the significant accounting policies of the schools. They did implement GASB statement number 101 for compensated absences. This standard resulted in a restatement of beginning net position of $1.3 million. We noted no inappropriate accounting policies or practices during our audit procedures. We also get an understanding of the related party relationships and transactions. We had no issues in identifying those relationships. We did not note any that appeared to lack business purpose or had non-compliance with applicable laws or regulations. We did not identify anything that we considered to be a significant or unusual transaction. And within the financial statements, there are some sensitive estimates affecting the financials. These are things that can change year over year based on the underlying assumptions that go into making those estimates. The most sensitive to this financial statements are the pension and OPEB benefits, assets, liabilities, and deferred flows of resources, the capital asset depreciable lives, and compensated absences, which is based on a more likely than not usage. As part of our audit process, we obtain an understanding of the key factors and assumptions used in developing those estimates and determine that they're reasonable in relation to the financial statements as a whole. Excuse me. The financial statement disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. Our advisory practice performs a few non-attest services for the schools, the first being for the implementation of GASB statement number 101, as well as continued assistance with GASB statement number 96 and 87. We also prepared the financial statements for the schools, and we assisted in the assembly and printing. For those services, management assigned someone to oversee those and takes ultimate responsibility for our services. We're not aware of any other threats to our auditor independence. We are independent of the schools and we have met our ethical responsibilities. We had no difficulties in completing our audit, nor did we have any disagreement with management. We did not have to consult with anybody outside of our engagement team for any difficult or contentious matters. We had management sign a representation letter as of the date of our audit opinion, which represented to us that all the information we needed to perform our audit was provided to us. We're not aware of any cases where management consulted with other accountants for any kind of second opinion. We had no other findings or issues that are required to be reported to you. We did not identify any fraud, illegal act, or waste or abuse during our audit, and we have no events or conditions that indicate substantial doubt about the school's ability to continue as a going concern. And with that, I'll just note that there are a couple new reporting changes for fiscal year 2026. We'll be working with the schools on implementing those, but we don't anticipate them to have any significant change to the financials and will not result in any kind of restatement. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I don't see any questions from the board at this time, so thank you for the report.
Thank you.
The last item on our information agenda this evening is the 2024-25 School Activity Funds Audit. Again, over to you, Ms. Glaude.
Thank you, Chair Swigert. This evening, Ms. Brittany Gregerson, Director of Assurance Services with Forbes Mazars LLP, will provide a summary of the 2024-2025 School Activity Funds Audit. I welcome Ms. Gregerson to provide her summary at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, and thank you for having me this evening. Normally, you don't have both of your auditors here at the same time, so I'm going to abbreviate mine a little bit because my audit is a component unit of the larger school board audit, which you just heard the summary of. Ultimately, we have issued an unmodified audit opinion. As Laura mentioned, that's going to be a clean opinion, that the best the highest level of assurance that we can provide on those financial statements. We went out and we visited each of the schools in person and did testing at each of those schools and worked very closely with the bookkeepers and principals at each school. You should have received a copy of our final audited financial statements. These look very similar to the prior year. Overall, about $180,000 increase in the funds, but overall, not a whole lot of change there. And then you also have our report to the school board, and that's going to go over a lot of the same things that Laura mentioned. If we had identified any uncorrected misstatements, adjusting journal entries, if we had identified any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, and again, happy to announce that we did not identify any material weaknesses consistent with the larger school board audit. So again, this is just for the student activity funds at each school, but I would open it up to any questions. Going to leave it very high level for you all because I know you've had a lot on the agenda tonight and kind of just had the full presentation for the full audit. So
I believe I see no questions for your report either. Thank you for being here. The first item on our action agenda this evening is the superintendent's proposed capital improvement plan. Ms. Stutz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The superintendent's proposed capital improvement plan for 2026 to 2036 was initially presented at the second meeting in October. Additionally, a work session, public hearing, and were conducted in the November meeting. And of course, we had the second public hearing this evening for the capital plan. We do not have a formal presentation for you this evening because we've already had a couple work sessions. Dr. Martinez and I are here and available to answer any questions you may have. And then if you don't have any of those, we are asking for final action this evening on the capital improvement plan. And as you know, the superintendent's proposed capital improvement plan becomes the school board's proposed capital improvement plan. And once it's adopted by you all, then we will forward it over to the city for inclusion in their review of their capital improvement budget. And as you all know, they are required to take action by the middle of May, actually May 15th.
I see no final questions from the board, so with that, I will entertain a motion for approval of the capital improvement plan. So moved. Moved by Ms. Huddle. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any final discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
The last item on the action agenda this evening is proposed revisions to School Board Policy 8-2, General Personnel Matters, Professional Conduct. The proposed revisions to this policy were presented at our last meeting, and the proposed changes incorporate provisions addressing constitutionally protected rights related to the personal titles and forms of address. A copy of these changes is available in board docs. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? I'm going to go second with Mr. Cologne. We will open for discussion. I know there are a few members at least that would like to add some thoughts to the matter. I'd like to open, and if you'll bear with me, I have several thoughts I wanted to make sure to touch on, so I did write down my comments because I didn't want to miss anything. But I would like to take a moment to add some clarity on what these policy revisions are and what they're not. These three policy revisions are related to employee activities and are intended to keep the classroom focus on curriculum. The use of alternative pronouns and titles that do not align with biological sex is a controversial and complex issue, one that is most appropriately navigated by families according to their own personal values, whatever they may be. Issues such as this do not have a direct link to the curriculum, and therefore they don't belong in the classroom. We must address the negative unintended consequences related to this issue and do our very best to find solutions that solve the challenge with minimal negative impact to all involved, and I know that can be difficult. I know this was never the intent of staff in this position, but we have had multiple reports of students who have become concerned and even fearful of accidentally addressing their teacher in a way that might upset them, so much so that they no longer feel comfortable asking questions in classroom. Our first priority must always be creating and maintaining the best possible learning environment for our students. These policy changes are intended for that purpose. In addition, these revisions do not in any way govern how these issues are addressed for our students. Our policy has been and will remain that we navigate this issue with students on a case-by-case basis in full and transparent communication and partnership with their parents. The voluntary use of alternative pronouns and titles by employees amongst their peers is not prohibited by this policy. A person who does not fundamentally agree with the use of alternative pronouns and titles cannot be compelled to use them. This policy is intended to clarify that and to facilitate an environment of mutual respect as it relates to this issue. I am confident that we can find solutions that will work for all who are affected by this change. I understand that these policy changes will not be supported by all, but I believe they are what is in the best interest of the majority of our students and staff, and therefore I will be supporting their adoption. To those who feel this is negative for them, please understand that I do not make this decision lightly or without full consideration of the impact. It is my goal to support the administration in navigating this issue if it's adopted in a way that is in fact mutually respectful, and I do believe that that's not only possible but necessary.
Thank you. I made it pretty clear at the last meeting that I would be voting in support of Policy 802 tonight, so I don't think anyone is surprised or shocked to hear that I will be doing just that tonight. I agree with Chair Swigert's comments. I think she eloquently captured what this policy is and is not, and why it's necessary to implement, because unfortunately there have been some boundaries crossed in some of our classrooms. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. It is problematic to walk into a classroom and not know what subject you teach, but to only be focused on your preferred identity. That is not in line with the curriculum, and that needs to be adjusted. And unfortunately, it has placed us in a position to where we need to more clearly define those boundaries. I do want to read some comments tonight from a parent that will stay anonymous, but I felt like she articulated her thoughts very well on this issue, and I, to be quite honest, I agree with her. She said, "We often hear calls for tolerance, inclusion, and respect. These are important values, but tolerance loses its meaning when it is enforced through coercion. Inclusion becomes hollow when it only flows in one direction. There is a deep irony in preaching acceptance while simultaneously demanding that others violate their own freedom of speech and moral conscience to comply with an ideology they do not hold. What we are seeing today is pressure to redefine respect as mandatory ideological compliance. Those who do not adopt certain beliefs are told they are unkind, unsafe, or intolerant, or tonight we were told we were backwards, bullies, ignorant fools, and could be raised better, while their own constitutional rights are dismissed or minimized. That is not tolerance, that is coercion. Policy 802 does not permit harassment. It does not excuse disrespect. It simply draws a necessary boundary. That kindness does not require compelled speech, and professionalism does not require surrendering one's conscience. Respect must be mutual to be meaningful. It cannot be demanded from some while denied to others." Pretty much sums it up. That's how I'll be voting tonight.
Ms. Walker?
Thank you. Just a couple of observations that I made tonight, and honestly, a couple pieces of advice. So first one, I feel like a lot of folks didn't really read the revisions. So I would encourage you, before you come to speak or send an email, that you fully read and understand. So thank you, Chair Swigert, for making it clear as to what exactly we're voting for tonight. The other thing that is kind of shocking is that people are so willing to follow blindly. If you would like your email to be impactful, I encourage you to write it yourself. A copy and paste of someone else's words doesn't carry much weight, okay? And then finally, you know, a speaker tonight said, "See the children," but yet not a single speaker that spoke in opposition talked about the sixth grader that is uncomfortable going to school because of the adults in the classroom. Not a single one of you talked about that, so I guess it's only one way. And I guess, like one speaker said, that individual is the ignorant fool. If you want respect, then you should treat others with respect too. The amount of emails that were filled with hatred and insulting of intelligence of the members of this board is completely unacceptable. I will be voting tonight in favor of these revisions, and quite frankly, they should have been put into place a long time ago.
Ms. Huddle?
As I shared at the last meeting, I oppose the policy. I don't feel it's needed. I believe it's discriminatory, and I'll be voting against it this evening.
Mr. Colon?
I do agree with what you guys have said so far. I wrote down exactly what I wanted to say. Everyone perceives the world uniquely, and that's okay. We just can't force others to see things in our own perspective. These policy changes presented allow us to navigate this complex issue with a strong commitment to principled decision-making. I will be voting yes.
Aye.
All opposed?
Would you mind turning on your mic and doing that one more time for me?
My apologies. With that, I did not have my mic on, so we're going to go through that again. We will call the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with a vote of 7-2, with board members Huddle and Quillen voting in opposition.
There being no additional items on the action agenda this evening, we will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a few announcements I want to make before I go into my spotlight for this evening. First of all, the Crestwood Elementary dedication will be on Thursday of this week, December 18th, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. Also, as a reminder, I always say this, I really don't need to remind anybody of this, but the last day of school for students and staff is December 19th, and schools will be closed from December 22nd through January 2nd for the winter holidays. Our doors will open for the new year on January 5th. And finally, when we return in January, I'm looking forward to traveling to Richmond with the board. We'll be meeting with the members of the Chesapeake delegation. We will be meeting with our senators and delegates on January 21st, which is a great opportunity for us to discuss our legislative priorities with our representatives, and I hope that each of you will be able to make it if your schedule permits. Now onto my spotlight for this evening. In a blink of an eye, the calendar has turned to December, and we are heading full speed towards winter holidays. This time of year is always filled with exciting events and activities for our students and staff, and I'm glad to be able to share some of them with you this evening. Great Bridge Intermediate kicked off the holiday season in style with their annual Thanksgiving parade. The fifth graders at GBI created their floats and walked the halls to the cheers of the third and fourth graders. The marching Wildcats from Great Bridge High also joined in on the fun as they provided the tunes to make the parade complete. This year's theme was board games, and each fifth grade class created their displays to match their favorite games. From Monopoly to the Game of Life, the Wildcats displayed their creativity as they ushered in the winter holidays. Thank you to Great Bridge Intermediate and Principal Tracy Sabato for putting on another exciting Thanksgiving parade. I can't wait to see all the fun things that will happen across the district as we approach the holidays and the new year. Also, before the break, select ninth graders from across our district had the opportunity to participate in a new CTE initiative and career exploration event called Future Focus. This inaugural event was a full day of activities for our students. They toured the Chesapeake Career Center and attended informational sessions put on by the Chesapeake Fire and Police Departments. The students were also able to visit Chesapeake Regional Healthcare, touring several hospital departments, including surgery and labs. These opportunities give our students invaluable glimpses into their futures, and I couldn't be more thankful. Future Focus to Future Teachers. The Teachers for Tomorrow program at Western Branch High School visited Regent University recently to experience a day in the life of an education student. Along with their sponsor, Ms. Christy Hanna, the Bruins were able to attend lecture sessions with current Regent students, talk to the dean, and learn all about what Regent has to offer for future educators. Thank you to Ms. Hannah and the Western Branch High School for continuing to go the extra mile and giving our students the opportunity to learn and explore their futures. The Great Bridge Middle School Orchestra participated in an exciting opportunity of their own with Grammy-nominated strings ensemble Palavor Strings. The Wildcat Orchestra was first treated to a special performance by the professional quartet, which included many popular songs. The group also received expert coaching from a member of the quartet in advance of the upcoming winter concert. Thank you to orchestra teacher Mrs. Kate Mullaby for arranging this fantastic experience, and to the Palavor Strings for stopping in to give the Wildcats a learning experience they won't soon forget. We once again had the opportunity to celebrate some of our fantastic employees with our November Power of the Peak reveal. Congratulations to Timothy Jackson, Security Officer at Western Branch Intermediate. You'd be proud of him because he was reluctant to let me in the building, but thankfully he was able to see my ID. Erica Green, Science Teacher at Deep Creek Middle, and Naomi Dunbar, Principal at Indian River High School, for being well-deserved honorees in the Support, Teach, and Lead categories. Our next winners will be announced in January, so don't forget to nominate your own Power of the Peak winner on our employee recognitions page to show your appreciation for your favorite staff member. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to the newest member of the Chesapeake School Board, Dr. Amanda Quillen, who wasn't expecting us to pop this up on the screen, but she is officially starting her tenure this evening. Dr. Quillen was sworn in on Friday here at the School Administration Building and now joins us as an official member of the board. We are pleased to welcome you, Dr. Quillen, and we look forward to working alongside you as you begin your service to the amazing students, teachers, and staff and families of Chesapeake Public Schools. And we had the opportunity to celebrate some of those amazing teachers at our 2026 Teacher of the Year ceremony. On Thursday, we celebrated the 48 individual honorees who joined us at Indian River High School with their colleagues and families. I'd like to thank Principal Dunbar and the Indian River High School for being such welcoming hosts. The Indian River High School Camerata, I got to work on that one, for performing during the ceremony and for all of the people that made the event a success. It was an incredible night celebrating our marvels in teaching. We also announced our 4 district-level winners. I hope you'll join me in congratulating Elementary Teacher of the Year, Alexis Brueggemann from Hickory Elementary, Middle School Teacher of the Year, Michael Powers Jr. from Crestwood Middle School, High School Teacher of the Year, Christopher Fisher from Western Branch High School, and our overall Chesapeake Teacher of the Year, Susan Ratz from B.M. Williams Elementary School. We are so proud of these outstanding educators. I'd also like to thank the Chesapeake Educational Foundation, who presented Mrs. Ratz with a $1,000 gift card. Congratulations again to all of the Teachers of the Year. We're so proud that you represent Chesapeake Public Schools, and also want to note that they'll be coming to speak to you sometime in January. This completes my spotlight for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Last on our agenda this evening is board member items. Does any board member have an item to bring before the group? We'll go to Ms. Scott.
Thanks. I just wanted to also welcome Ms. Quillen, or Dr. Quillen, to the school board. I had the opportunity to spend some quality time with her. Was that last week? Golly, gosh, time is flying. And I think she's a lovely human being, and I think we're going to work well together. So welcome aboard, Dr. Quillen. I also wanted to say, Ms. Worley, I love your hat. You're very festive this evening, and I also really appreciate you wishing a happy Hanukkah, especially in light of the anti-Semitism that is rampant. And my heart goes out to Australia and the people of Australia and the horrible terrorist attack. And then on behalf of Kim Scott, I also just want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. Isaiah 9:6 says, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Merry Christmas.
Seeing no additional board member comments, I will take just a moment to wish a happy birthday to board member Malia Huddle, who celebrated yesterday. We hope you had a wonderful birthday and continue to celebrate this week. And I will take a personal point of privilege to celebrate the birthday of former board member Daniel Stahler, who's still with us in the room. We hope that you celebrated last week and had a wonderful week. We hope that you are both enjoying and being celebrated as you should. And with that, we will call this meeting adjourned.